Good afternoon, everyone. As you can see, my talk is about why children should use WordPress. So, anybody here who has kids, this might be a little interesting. Yeah, why children should use WordPress. Anybody heard this? Kaka-computer mo yan eh. So if you were born, if you were growing up around 90s, 2000s, the advent of the internet, you probably heard this from your parents. It doesn't really translate very well into other languages. It's more like because you spend too much time on your computer. So, but remember, these parents are the same parents who's going to ask you for help to fix their computers. You know, you've heard, Iho, can you put Facebook on my computer? Or you said, Anak, can you check your email? See if your tito sent the balikbayan box. So these are the lines you've heard if you're around my age. So, question, how many here have kids? Below the age 15, below the age 10, and like those who joined kids camp earlier. I have a six-year-old boy. So it's important because a lot of these kids, they grew up with the internet. They grew up online. So they have YouTube, TikTok, and then how many of you use YouTube to keep them entertained? When you're at a restaurant, you're at the mall, you sit them down, put a phone in front of them, keep them busy. How many here have allowed their kids to open their own YouTube channel? Or even use TikTok to post videos? Is anybody using Instagram Threads now, which just started a few days ago? My generation is the generation that grew up without the internet. After school, I would go home, get my bike, go back to school, hang out with my friends until it gets dark. I didn't spend time playing video games because we were only allowed to play games on weekends. And I didn't have a chat app on my phone. So we actually had face-to-face hangouts with my friends. You know, that was our Facebook. It was face-to-Facebook. The internet arrived in the Philippines in March 29, 1994. I started using it around that time, 94, 95. And Filipinos have always been online. Computers, at work, at home. You even bring your phones to the bathroom sometimes. So the Philippines has also been called the social media capital of the world in many different times throughout since 1994. But for me, children are the future of the world. Hello, my name is Oneal Rosero. I'm from Parañaque, Metro Manila. And WordPress, for me, has been the past, the present, and the future. I believe children are essential to the future of WordPress. Today, many children don't even know a world without Google, without touchscreens, without automation, without social media. Do we, as parents or guardians, shield them from having a presence on the web? Is it our responsibility to hold their hand and guide them into the future? But you have to make sure this is done safely, responsibly, and kindly. Is that even possible? A little bit of background. I've been using WordPress since 2007, but I only got involved in the community of WordPress right shortly before the pandemic. I even missed the last in-person WordCamp in 2019 in Manila by 1 week. And then, of course, everybody knows what happened in 2020. But because of this, I started volunteering online. And I'm part of the Learn WordPress training team, where we create learning sessions for WordPress. Teach you how to use block editor, teach you how to use themes and all of that. There's tons of content. And anybody can contribute as long as you have something to do with WordPress. I am also co-facilitator of the WP Diversity Workshops that encourage underrepresented individuals to speak at WordCamps, such as this one, and meetups. I was also co-organizer of WordCamp Asia 2023 last February, and I'm also on the team for WordCamp Asia 2024, which will be in Taiwan in March next year. And I'm also a big Star Wars fan. My wife and I met through Star Wars. We both work from home online, and so she does social media for non-government organizations, and I do social media for costuming organizations like the 501st Legion. So yes, I actually built those, and we wear them for charity and fundraisers. We also do hospital visits. Actually, my friends are at the ToyCon in Manila right now. They're doing a similar event. Okay, but actually, Star Wars is what brought me to WordPress. But that's probably a talk for another day. Now, why am I talking about children and WordPress? I have a son. He's 6 years old. He has 100% energy the whole day, nonstop. He's actually only 3 years old in this photo. And yes, I built that costume. Because of the nature of our work, it was inevitable that we would post pictures of him online even as soon as he was born. Within minutes of leaving the hospital, we'd already posted dozens of photos. Even our gender reveal was Star Wars and online. So we also had a Star Wars wedding in 2010. We're not afraid to post things online because our work is there. But we are still very careful about what we post and when we post it. The simple rule is don't post while you're there. So don't post that you're in this event. You post it afterwards, not during. But that way, people can't stalk you. You can actually search for our pictures about our wedding. Just Google Star Wars Wedding 2010. And you can also find other things we've done online. Okay, today, many children don't know a world without Google, without touchscreens or automation. My son is now a YouTuber. He has about 600 plus videos on YouTube, and he only started a year ago. So the content that we have is basically what he does at school. He does show and tell. He does something in his football class or swimming classes. So anything that an energetic child can do can be content online, on YouTube, and on your blog. What's important is that you have to be careful what you're posting, and you have to be the one to curate the information. Over a year ago, in the middle of the pandemic, when you couldn't go out, especially, it was hard, especially for kids, our then 5-year-old asked if he could have a YouTube channel. He'd been watching YouTube Kids, and then later YouTube. He stumbled upon gaming videos where people play the game and they talk about what they're doing. So he wanted to try that. At that point, he'd been playing games like Plants vs. Zombies. So after a few months of intense discussions and research, we decided to let him have a channel. And this is also his blog. So it's also important to have branding, consistent names. So his channel is Giraffe Gaming because he really likes giraffes. So we also have rules about the posting on his YouTube channel. We know at first there was no live streaming, so that it minimizes his interaction with the outside world. But he can live stream if I or his mother is playing games with him, so that there's no, it doesn't get flagged by YouTube or TikTok as, exploitation of children. There's a lot of rules that the Americans implemented with these online video streaming. So most of the time, one or both of us are nearby while he's playing, so that we also know what he's saying, what he hears, and what he's doing every day. It actually helps that we're both working from home, so we take turns. And if you search for the channel or his email address, the person you'll get is me. It directs straight to me. So this is actually another buffer between the child and the parents. So what does this have to do with WordPress? I believe WordPress is the future, and by extension, that children who blog are the future of the WordPress. So let me explain. By using WordPress as the center of your online persona, such as Giraffe Gaming, your online existence is better centered in one location, the blog. And then no matter what happens to the other channels, like your YouTube gets flagged, your YouTube gets hacked or anything, you will always have a central location, such as your blog, to be able to be found online. This also makes it easier for people to find your other social media accounts. Like me, my WordPress site is trooperdad.com. This is where I actually started posting videos of myself and my son. Meanwhile, a lot of people have their TikTok, you have your YouTube, you have your Google, Facebook, your Instagram, and then maybe some of you are still using Twitter. All of these social medias will make it be harder for people to find you because you're scattered all over the web. You have to check this site, that site. Next thing you know, you have 40 tabs open on your browser, and then your computer shuts down. The beauty of using WordPress is it's actually a big community. It's not just the software. The software is there. There are other companies that make similar software that works just like WordPress. But it's not just the plugins. It's not just the themes. WordPress is a safe space. It's a safe space where you have a large community of people who are of similar mindset. It's a helpful community. It's an encouraging community that guide people to try something new. And there's always something progressive about WordPress. It's an inclusive community where people can be comfortable doing things on their own, or they are unafraid to ask for help. There will always be somebody to take care of you. Somebody will help guide you to do things the right way, to use a block editor, to use plugins, to use the right themes, post the right content, and use the right design for your blog. There is very little competition, and it's always, if ever there is, it's always friendly or positive. This is how I felt when I joined the WordPress community. So it's not like there's somebody fighting for dominance, that I'm number one, I'm the best at this. It's always, you're not fighting for who is right, and there's always somebody who's going to be listening. There's always going to be someone there to guide you. Now, why should kids learn to blog? Blogging gives students the opportunity to speak with their own voice, with their own personality, and it helps them to practice communication. Communication skills, conversation skills online, where they can comment or interact with other people who have their own blogs, or in the comment chat threads in on their posts. It also helps them think about what they're going to say by typing it instead of just blurting out the first thing that comes to their mind. What advantage is there in learning to make a blog? Understanding computers and learning the basics of coding helps children to develop an appreciation of how things work. It also teaches them how math is useful for software engineers in order to solve problems, like using logic or even being creative. Now, why do they need to make a blog? Blogging is a perfect way for your child to learn how to effectively communicate and use their opinion and perspectives on a certain topic. The school curriculum that includes blogging or website creation focuses on students editing, reviewing, writing, and all of these skills that they can use later on as they grow. And then it makes it also a suitable way for them to get suggestions from experts. The use of the blog, or making a blog, can do this in a safe and encouraging way. Children left to their own devices will find things to do and figure out how things work. Many children learn to swipe even before they learn to type. My son is actually lazy to type, so he's more of a vlogger now. So he just records videos and we post it on his blog. Yeah. Most of the time, kids will figure things out on their own. My son finds things out, and then if he's not sure about how it works, usually he's not afraid to ask. In fact, he has so many questions, I think his generation should be called Generation Y. They also become more attentive. When my son was recording for his blog, he notices things around him that he normally wouldn't have noticed. When we were in Bangkok, at the airport, we were just walking around. He was taking video on his blog. He noticed a sign that said, left baggage. Then he asked, if there's left baggage, is there also right baggage? Take note that left baggage is bags that are left at the airport or forgotten. Having a blog is also a great way for them to keep in touch with family members who are far away. It's also helpful. This was very helpful during the pandemic when because my son's grandmother lives in Antipolo and we live in Parañaque. So that's at least 2 or 3 hour drive just to visit. So it also helps having a blog or having them learn to be online, help them to just say, hi, hello, how are you? So it helped. At least once a week, when my son does something funny, I tell my wife, you should post that. This happens very often when you have a 6-year-old. So we do. We post a lot of stuff that he does online. So yeah, my wife is actually a more active blogger than I am. Meanwhile, she also asks me, did you take a picture? Like this one time, my son got his fingers stuck in a Nerf gun, and then he comes to me and says, Daddy, I need help. The funny thing was, I was actually running a workshop for WordPress at that time, so I couldn't really take a picture of him while we got his finger out of the Nerf gun. And it also closes the distance. It closes the distance from people around him, people whom he can't see every day, friends, family, school friends. He did online school during the pandemic, then he did face-to-face classes, but now because it's summer, they don't see each other every day. So they do use Messenger Kids as a way to connect with his other classmates. It's just, an occasional update, because if you have to say the same story to their friends every day, 10 times a day, it gets tiring, usually for me. Having a blog is also like having a repository of information that you can go back to a year or 2 years later. And then it helps kids to learn how much they've grown and how much they've changed, and of course, how much things stay the same. So this is the difference between 3-year difference before the pandemic and just last week when he plays football. And it's still, like I said earlier, it's a safe space. It's also important for them to feel safe, to be able to express themselves as they want to, as they should. Blogs don't have to be public. They can be a private, like a journal or like a diary, where they can just write and express themselves to some family members or to some friends. And then you can make it available to only specific people that they choose to be. It also teaches them to post responsibly so they can have better control over their own blogs. Having a responsible netizen is better for your peace of mind as compared to when they go out and play in the playground where they could get hurt. But this is also a way for them to be able to express themselves. But there's also actually one simple rule that we try to teach our son is be nice. It doesn't take much effort to be nice to people online. Freedom within reason. We should also be careful how much freedom we give our children. I remember a story about someone who left their phone with their child, and then the child was watching YouTube, and then the phone went to lock screen. So the child kept trying to unlock the phone over and over again. And next thing you knew, the phone has been locked for 20 years. So actually this number, 23 million, is equal to 44 years of your locked phone. My wife and I use technology every day. We're on our computers almost the whole day, and we're on our phones 24/7. Some people even bring their phones to the bathroom, so I try not to do that. Our son is going to be exposed to the technology, so it's better for them to know how to use it properly and embrace it rather than be afraid of it. Social media accounts will serve as a diary of sorts for your kids who are too young to do things for themselves. It's a record of what they did throughout the day from the eyes of their parents. And the parents can turn over these accounts to their kids when they turn 13, or as long as you know they're responsible enough to manage their own online profiles. Lately, my son has been searching for cute animals on Instagram, like this, all day. Yeah, that's what he does. But last week he said, next year, I want to join you at WordCamp. The whole sentence was, I want to join mommy's work, or I can go with daddy to WordCamp. So I'm bringing him to Taiwan next year. Thank you very much.